All right, welcome in. A couple minutes early today, but it's time for Total Bases. Of course, this show is live, as you're seeing right now, but it's also on demand on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. So if you got in late, don't worry about it. You can obviously, watch the show replay on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. And while you're over there, drop us a like, maybe subscribe to the channel, maybe a comment. Bryan and I try to get in and answer all the comments on a daily basis. We love to hear from you guys, what games you're on. And if we miss something on the show, one of us will usually jump in and give an opinion on it in the comments. So just hop in there and interact with us, and we'll interact with you. Bryan, Leonard, I finally had a winning day yesterday. I'm very happy.
Yeah.
3-2. But more importantly, I went 2-1 in MLB. I hit a top play on the Pittsburgh Pirates, who scored one run on the second batter of the game, and that was all they needed. Paul Skeens was fantastic, 8 innings, and they win the game 1-0. So that was a great day for me yesterday. Needed a winning day. Hopefully we can do it again today. How was your Wednesday?
I lost my only baseball play, and I also lost our parlay on this show. I had
I lost the parlay too. Yeah.
Or whatever the ads are being called nowadays. But I did sweep in my playoff games. 2 easy winners. I had nice underdog winner on the Anaheim Ducks, and I'm wearing my Vegas shirt. So it was tough to sit there with my wife and have her cheering against me. But they had a 3-0 lead and won that game 3-1, and then we also won our NBA play. So playoffs are going good. Baseball, I've already passed for clients today in baseball. I'm not seeing it well, and it's a smaller card today, and I have a lot of questions about today's card. So, yeah, I've already given my clients the day off, and hopefully, if you don't like what I'm doing, hope you can get whatever Adam's got going on today.
Yeah. Hey, wins are wins. We're just looking for wins anywhere. And you know what? Like, I'll just say it. You'd rather win in the playoffs. Like, I don't care what I know those are the bigger games. I'm certain, even though we preach like bankroll management, we've got our percentages. It's the same thing for me during college basketball. I'd always choose to win in the NCAA tournament. The playoff games are bigger games. So I'm sure your clients are thrilled right now, especially your all access ones, that the playoff games are the ones that are hitting, because it's just, that's the ones that people want. And, you've had a really good playoff run so far. So obviously keep that up. I do have a 4% play in Major League Baseball today. We have like a bigger Thursday slate than usual here. I think there's 10 or 11 games to break down. And I was joking with you before the show. I was like, did ESPN bring back the weeknight doubleheader? This was like when I was growing up in the 90s. It was always like, I looked forward. It used to be Wednesday night, and you knew you were going to get a 7 o'clock game and a 10 o'clock game. And I always stayed up for it. So ESPN, of course, no longer does Sunday Night Baseball. That after all those years, they've given up Sunday Night Baseball. But I see a doubleheader on the ESPN. It looks like on ESPN tonight. And it's kind of like standalone games. So I wondered if they sort of negotiated that some way, shape, or form. But we're going to talk about them. That'll be our co-feature here, Bryan. Let's start with the first game that it looks like the entire country is going to get tonight. And that is the Red Sox, Fenway Park, against the red-hot Tampa Bay Rays. This was one where I do think we're going to see that like Griffin Jacks to Schultens type combo, something of that nature. I think it's going to be Schultens in bulk for the Rays, probably going to get an opener. I do, maybe it is Griffin Jacks. I see that listed on a couple of the sites. And then it looks like Jake Bennett for the Red Sox, who's thrown it well. I even said last time we talked about him, didn't expect him up in the big leagues yet this year. Doesn't mean he doesn't belong there. Look good. Does he look good again tonight?
Yeah, last time we spoke about Griffin Jacks, I had a feeling they were stretching him out to be a starter. Now it's official. They are stretching him out to be the starter. He's only gone 2 or 3 innings so far in his first games. He won't be in there long enough probably to get the victory unless he's pitching very well. And, they really jacked him around this year, brought him in and expected him to be the closer. Had a tough, to their credit, he had a tough couple of weeks. This is the closer. Now you don't know who's going with Tampa Bay for the closer. The guy they brought in has done very well but they've got a lot of good arms in the back of this bullpen. So it's one of those teams right now that the back of the bullpen is excellent. And they said, you know what? Let's see if we can get some extra innings out of Griffin Jackson. As a Griffin Jacks fan, I'm glad that at least right now he knows what his role is. And when you're a baseball player, and TB will tell you the same thing, you've got to know what your role is. If you don't know what your role is, it's just like us. If they let us know what shows we're going to be on, we can prepare for them. If they don't, and they call us up at the last minute and say, hey, this guy dropped out, you're not going to be quite as prepared. So I like what they're doing with Jacks here. And we're getting Boston with Bennett about a 110 to 115 favorite, total of 8.5 here. And when you're looking at the Boston Red Sox right now from an offensive standpoint, Duran's finally starting to hit a little bit. In the last 7 days, he's up to number 22 batter, and Rafaela's hitting well. So some of the guys that started off slow are starting to hit a little bit better. So the Boston Red Sox should be able to score some runs. Roman Anthony, he was hurt, and then they brought him back, played him a little bit of DH, a little bit in the outfield, but now he's hurt again. So chances are he won't be there today. And if you take a look at the bullpen for Boston, Chapman and Whitlock did not pitch the last 2 days. Zach Kelly did pitch 25 pitches yesterday, so I doubt if he'll go. And Moran threw 38 pitches 2 days ago, so I doubt if he'll go. Salamarito is through 31. So their best pitchers are fresh, and that's something you always want to take a look at. From the Tampa Bay standpoint in this game, from a hitting standpoint, they're still not hitting great. They've only got the one guy, Aranda, right now that's hitting really well at 16th over the last 7 days, but they're finding ways to win. We've said that about them in the past. They've got a lot of guys really slumping in the lineup, but they find ways to win, and that is what is working. The starting pitching has been very good. Shane McClanahan, who I really didn't think was going to come back and pitch the way he has early on, he's looked good. So, Martinez has come over from the Reds. He's been terrific. Rasmussen has been very good. So, the starting pitching staff is doing really well. And I kind of touched on Baker. Brian Baker's been awesome. He's been the number one pitcher in baseball for the last 14 days, number 5 overall. He's turned himself into one of the best closers in Major League Baseball right now. And the entire bullpen has actually been red hot. So while we were only going to get probably 4 innings, I'm guessing, out of Griffin Jacks today, the bullpen has been pitching very well, but they've been pitching a lot lately. So that could blow up at any time, but I like the situation for them right now. The total, once again, on this game is an 8.5. We've been seeing a lot of unders in the Tampa Bay game so far. Neither team hitting great right now, although Boston's starting to pick up. I kind of like the under in this game.
They've played 11 straight unders by my calculation. I was going back through as you were talking here, and they've played 11 games that I'm pretty confident have gone under the total, like clearly under the total. The 2 games prior to those 11 were still only 8 runs and 7 runs. So actually, they've played 13 straight games, Brian, that would have gone under 8.5, which is the total tonight. The Rays have also won 12 of those 13 games. It's been a tremendous run for them to this point. The Red Sox are an interesting team because I was listening to, I actually watched one of my wins yesterday was Scranton, and they played Worcester. So I sat there and watched. For minor league baseball, you always get the home broadcast. So it doesn't matter. There's only one broadcast. The home team produces it, but it can be a wealth of information of like what's going on in the club, because it's like the guys that are calling these AAA games. And even if you go down the line and watch other like AA, single A broadcasts, they're very like in tune with what's going on in the organization, but they're not necessarily like these super polished professional broadcasters. So sometimes sometimes they'll start talking and they divulge more than they probably should. It's a great way to get information. And the one thing that the Red Sox, they really like harped on the Worcester broadcast was like, when they made these changes. So Craig Breslow cleans house, makes changes, sort of unprecedented to see 5 coaches get axed all at the same time. And then he sort of was going and picking guys throughout the organization. Like one of the coaches that he added to the Red Sox staff had never been above a high A with the organization. He's a guy that was, I forget his name. I think it's a Paulino. And he's a guy that was always sort of credited with like really being good at preparing younger guys and like getting guys ready just to act like professionals, right? You're in A and you're in high A. You're getting kids that are pros for the first time. It's the first time they're probably ever getting paid to play the sport. It's the first time that they're basically having to be, you're asking them to go to work every day, right? Play every day. This is now a job. This is what you should be doing. And they added him to the staff, and the whole sort of idea of the person that they had in the booth and who they were interviewing for the Red Sox is like they still feel like this team can win games. And the reason that they made the changes when they did was because they're looking at the schedule. They're saying like we have 130 games left, or however many it was when they fired Cora. Some of this is like preparation. Some of this is like just getting guys doing what they're supposed to be doing. And, you've watched the Red Sox since some of those changes, right? They take 2 of 3 from the Orioles. Didn't play as, dropped 2 of 3 in Toronto, but it wasn't necessarily like I don't think they necessarily played poorly in that stretch with the Blue Jays and the Astros. They just came out on the wrong end of some close games, but then go on the road and sweep Detroit. I think I'm kind of buying the Red Sox a little bit. And right now, I think it's time to sell the Rays because they've been doing this 12 of 13, Brian, but they haven't hit. Like, they're winning these games like razor thin margins. How long can they possibly do that? I think I lean the Red Sox here, and I'll look to find a spot to play the Red Sox this weekend.
Well, the one thing you did say that they've gone under this number. Well, this is a good hitter's ballpark. So this line will be, the 8.5 is they hadn't probably had too many 8.5s. That said, yeah, I like what Boston is doing. They've got some really good players in the minor leagues, and they're being active on that. Whereas you see other teams who have that talent in the minors, and well, just take a look at the Miami pitching staff. They've got 3 guys down there in the minors right now. They should be Major League Baseball players. We are going to see one of them on Friday tomorrow. Yeah, it's every program treats their young players a little bit differently. Minnesota's a team that I think it's because they're cheap, but they keep a lot of these guys down. And so when they do get up, you got a chance to get somebody up there that should be in the majors, and you can take advantage of that. So yeah, as for ESPN or whatever, we kind of talked on this. I buy the packages for all the sports, so I have no idea what is on what channel. I'm so glad I don't have to start looking at trying to find which of the 100 channels out there is to watch that certain game. Just get the baseball package, and you'll be in good shape.
Couple things. So if you're just joining and you're like, wow, the show already started. Yeah, we started a few minutes early today. Brian's got to get out of here at the 30-minute mark instead of 45. So we started a couple minutes early just to get you a full show. Adam Westbury says, what's up, fellas? How is Trigger doing? Up or down for clients? I am down for clients in baseball right now. I am up in KBO and AAA. I just won my KBO play this morning. I went 3-2 yesterday, and I got a baseball winner. So right now I am negative in Major League Baseball. It's something that we've pretty much come on here and talked about every day, but it's May 7th. And I fully expect, I feel good about the 2-1 day with a 4% winner on the Pirates yesterday. And I've got a 4% play today. So hopefully we get it going in the right direction. But I am up in the smaller leagues. So again, we're just trying to battle. We don't come and hide anything on here. That is, that's just where we're at. It's May 7th. There's so much season left, and I feel pretty good about the last couple days. Feel good about my play tonight, and let's Brian's had some of the similar struggles in Major League Baseball, but has been killing it in the playoffs. So we're just here trying to cash tickets, and the baseball winners are absolutely coming. I know that for a fact. So Brian, let's keep it going. Let's go to the part 2 of the national TV doubleheader tonight. That's going to be out west. 2 teams, like this is actually probably the game of the day. If you're just looking at records and like where these teams are in the standings, Cardinals, Padres, probably the game of the day. Cardinals come in 21-15. The Padres, another win yesterday, 22-14. You've been all over the Cardinals being so much better than the market since before the season even started. I think you've nailed that. I don't think anyone expected the Cardinals 6 games over 500 on May 7th. I certainly did not. So talk to me here. It looks like Liberatore for the Cardinals, Michael King for the Padres. Big juice on the Padres here. Was that a little higher than you thought it was going to be?
It definitely was. When you take a look at the Padres versus lefties on the season, their WRC plus is only 86. So they haven't hit lefties very well. And there's been changes made for Liberatore. And yeah, I think there's some value here on St. Louis a little bit. You take a look at the St. Louis offense. No, they're not going to dazzle you, but all of them, except for maybe Pejas, the catcher, had been hitting pretty well. So they're getting consistent effort out of everybody on offense. And the bullpen has not been really used the last 2 days. They did go some long relief in Swanson and Schuster yesterday. But other than that, their bullpen's in great shape. Riley O'Brien is really taking it over. He's the number 2 ranked pitcher on the season. Struggled a little bit as of late, but he's only thrown 29 pitches in the last week or so. So I don't know what we can gain out of that. But St. Louis is a team I'm always looking to back if I can, because obviously nobody else is out there on them and they don't believe in them. And that's a good time to be betting on these teams. San Diego, from an offensive standpoint, Merrill's doing very well. He's at 27th the last week. Andujar, who I really like. I really like the guy. He's underrated. He's 31 years old. Yeah, his better years are behind him, but he continually gets on base. He DHs for him. He also could play some third base and some outfield. So I like him. And Xander Bogaerts is heating up. He's at 38th right now. So they've got a few guys hitting well. But Michael King is a guy who is probably the ace of this team. In fact, he is the ace of this team. He's been very good. We'll see how long he goes in this game. Let's take a look at what he has done as of late for my matchups here. Hold on. Let's go with King. Let's see. Okay. His last 3 starts, he's averaged 101 pitches. So he's very stretched out. So he could go as long as they need him in this game. Last time he pitched was 5 days ago. He threw 92. I like Michael King, but I like the St. Louis at this line a little bit better. You're always looking at numbers when you have to make your bets. You can't say, okay, this is the better team, it's going to win. Well, as we said before, you got to look at the numbers and try to figure out where the advantage is. And as good as Michael King is, I think the value here is on St. Louis. And I pass for clients because obviously if you've been watching the show this week, I haven't been seeing the card very well in baseball. But if I had to make a play, it would be on the underdog in this one.
Yeah, this is a perfect example of I matchup wise, I lean toward the Padres a little bit. Like if it was just like, hey, we don't have odds, just this team versus this team, the games in San Diego, these are your 2 starting pitchers, I would probably pick the Padres, just like not knowing what the number is. But then you make numbers. Brian, my number here for the Padres is like -113. Okay. That's what I make the number for the Padres. All right. So I look at these odds, and that is insane to me that they're $1.70 favorite. Now, it's one of those things where it's like, if you're just straight up betting value, then Cardinals is a no-brainer. I mean, that is a no-brainer play from what the number is. Now, for me, like I need to check more boxes than just, oh, the number is this, I'm going to bet this. Like I like, I played against the Cardinals yesterday. I was correct about that. I had the Brewers. I'm not as high on them. And it's not that I'm not, I see where you're coming from, and you've been right about them to this point, but I'm kind of looking at them now. Like, can I sell them now? Like, are they gonna come back to the pack a little bit? I don't know. Maybe not. But the point is that all I'll say about this game, minus 170 on the Padres is insane. That is an insane price. That should not be that. Like that's 50 cents. That's 40 cents off of what it should be, in my opinion. Not what I make it, but like what I think it should be. I think the Padres should be like $1 minus 135 here. I think that would be like a fair, like that's what the price should be. $1.70, clear value on the Cardinals. And I don't know how much money the Padres are going to continue to take. Remember, this is a national TV game standing alone later. You knock that plus 1.5 down 10 more cents. Then your boy might be in with the Cardinals. Then you might twist my arm. If I could get that plus 1.5 at like minus 135 or better here, I may have to jump in with the Cardinals.
Yeah, the Cardinals are a lucky team. Their luck differential is plus 3.7, the same as the Reds, but the Padres are plus 3.1, so they've been lucky as well. The Rays right now have taken over the king of being lucky. They're at 6.4, which is a solid 2.7 above the Cardinals and the Reds. Yes, the Rays have been winning, but they have been a little lucky. Cardinals have been winning, a little lucky, but the Padres, once again, 3.1. So they're almost as lucky as the Cardinals are. So, yeah, you're playing for value, and there's where the value is. The problem has been, at least this week for me, the value plays aren't working out. And I appreciate everybody that got into the YouTube replay and gave us the opinions. A lot of other people that are out there that bet for a living are running into the same thing. So it's just you'll find this all year long. You're going to have ebbs and flows, and don't change what you have done. That's one of the first things I've ever learned is if something has worked for you a long time and you can't figure out why it doesn't work right now, it's probably just a little lag. It's just these things happen. Don't completely if you're an underdog player and the underdogs aren't winning right now, don't start betting favorites if you don't normally bet favorites. That's where you'll get in trouble. So if something has worked in the long run and you can't figure out what the difference is, and sometimes things change. They definitely change. The rules change, everything changes. So you've got to be able to understand that. But if you can't find something that actually makes sense that is changing, do not change what you've done in the past that made you successful.
Yeah, small adjustments. Maybe look for different perspectives to give you just a different framework of a way to look at something. But yeah, and especially it's May 7th. If you're talking, you think about, you got to think about this as a bettor the same way an athlete approaches the season. You're going to have guys on May 7th that are out there. I don't think Fernando Tatis has hit a home run yet this year.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like, do you think Fernando Tatis is like just totally changing what he's done this entire way to get to the point he has in his career? Probably not. Is he going and making little tweaks, trying to change something here and there, see what happens? Yeah, for me yesterday, I said, you know what? I'm going to go a little bit higher volume. I know it's maybe a little counterintuitive to the way I like to bet, but I feel good about this set of games. I went a little higher volume. It worked. Doesn't mean I went wholesale crazy change of what I'm trying to do. And Bryan, to your point, sometimes it's just that the stars have to align a little bit. And if you continue to do what you're doing, they will. Perfect example. You like the Nationals on Monday. They lose the game. Last night they come out and score 15 runs and win 15-2. So there is an element of just being a little bit too early, a little bit too late. Let's talk about that game though, because the Nats 15 spot yesterday in the win. And now they're up against a guy that I do not believe should be in Major League Baseball as a starting pitcher right now. Simeon Woods Richardson. I hate to come on here and just slander a professional athlete, because that's the fact that anyone is good enough to even play affiliated ball. These guys are tremendous baseball players. But the reality is, at this level right now, I don't think Woods Richardson is still in a starting rotation if Joe Ryan doesn't get hurt, if the Twins are not sort of trying to figure out hey, are we in it? Are we not? What's because if we're not, we're going to protect some of our younger guys and we're just going to let you go out there and take your beating, because that's what teams that are out of it do. I said, Bryan, this stretch was going to be very big for the Twins over the next sort of week or so, probably to define, are we going to go for it? Or are we just going to punt on the season, play our younger guys, and try to get into a better spot for next year? The jury's still out, because of course they won on Monday, or they won on Tuesday. They lost yesterday, lost big. So this is the rubber match in DC this afternoon. Jake Irvin for the Nats, Simeon Woods Richardson for the Twins. How are you seeing this one?
Before we get to this one, I do want to make one comment about Tatis. If you're looking at home runs, he has not hit a home run this year. But look at barrel rate. If a guy is a fly ball hitter, if you're going to hit him in the grass, then you got a solid barrel rate. that's fine. You're not going to hit home runs. But if you put the ball in the air like Tatis does, his barrel rate, he's got like 7 or 8 barrels this year, which means he should have, it's usually a 50% situation. So he should have at least 4 home runs. He has 0. That's just an anomaly. Take a look at his barrel rate. If he's a guy who puts the ball in the air, you get about half your barrels in the air turn into home runs. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with Tatis. It's just been a bad luck situation. In this game, by the way, today is pretty much a getaway day for just about everybody, which means they have planes to catch and bills to pay. I don't remember what song that was, but anyway, that was my TB music trivia.
TB would have got the reference. I
got it. Yeah. But Woods Richardson going today. Yeah, I don't like Richardson. The total in this game is 9, but since it is a day game and there's travel involved, if a team has a decent sized lead, you could see some guys swinging early, not waiting on the out of the pitcher, that kind of thing. So I hate playing overs on getaway days, but to me, it makes a lot of sense to play it. Washington offense has struggled until yesterday, but they've been very good on the season. They've got a lot of good players on this team, a lot of good hitters. I like their hitters on this team. Pitching, totally different story, especially in that bullpen. You got probably the 2 worst bullpens in Major League Baseball here going, and you got 2 pitchers who have not pitched well today. Normally, if this was a game on a Saturday afternoon or something, I'd be all over this over 9. I do have concerns about that because of the getaway day, but if you just look at the stats, this game should go over 9.
You know, the Nationals lineup, I've said this for a couple of years, with the players that they have, it is set up much better to have success against right-handed pitching than it is against left-handed pitching. So, like, just based on that, I'm inclined to just be like, hey, like, we have one of the worst right-handed starters in the league on the mound in Woods Richardson. It is pretty much a pick on the price. I think maybe what are the Nats? -110, something like that right now?
15 or so, yeah.
-115, okay. I don't see how, if you're going to bet this game, I don't see how you're not rolling with the Nats at home, coming off of putting up 15, and the fact that there's been 2 blowouts in this series. So their weakness, the Nationals' weakness, when you look at a team at them as a team, no question is the bullpen. But they're up against one of the few teams in the league that has a clearly worse bullpen than they do. So it's like, if you're just like the Nats, you're like, okay, well, this might be a rare scenario where we're actually not at a weakness in the bullpen. And our lineup 1 through 9 profiles better against right-handed pitching. And we're up against arguably the worst right-handed starter in Major League Baseball right now. Nats might be my parlay leg here, Brian. I don't, that almost seems, it makes too much sense. How do I get off that?
If you like it, you're asking the wrong guy because I'm not going to stand in your way. The way
Slick
this week, but yeah,
Slick Nick is right. Like, Woods Richardson, he's not really throwing competitive pitches. Like, he's not throwing it by anyone. It's if you've watched him pitch, like, he just doesn't look like a major league pitcher trying to get batters out at the moment.
Yeah, you look at his numbers, and his against right-handers, his strikeout minus walk is about 11. Against left-handers, it's about 10, 9.5, 9. Yeah, that's not a major league pitcher. You want 14's about something in that area. You don't want anything less than 14, and he's a guy that we could fade a little bit here.
Yeah, that's gonna be my parlay league. What'd you say? -115?
Yeah, 115's out there.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they're home. The Nats, I still think I'm going to go back. The final point I'll make about this before we move on. The Nationals, these 2 teams have roughly the similar record right now. I'm not saying the Nats are going to contend for anything this year or even sniff a playoff spot, but like, they right now where they're at in that organization, like, they feel like they can play winning baseball. If you listen to the comments that come out of the organization, they had some ownership turnover. Like, they're doing some of the right things right now where it's like conceivable that they play their way toward 500. I'm not saying that they're going to finish there, but like, I think that would be like the ceiling. If the Nats could play close to 500 baseball this year, that would be a huge win for them. And I don't think it's like impossible with this lineup and the way they hit the ball to think they could do so. The more I watch the Twins, the more I think that like they might be a 90 loss team when it's all said and done. Like they could regress to that point. And I just think that when you're getting the Nats at home at this price, Simeon Woods Richardson on the mound for the Twins, you got to take that. So that'll be my parlay leg. Bryan, I want to know, because I know you duck out here regardless at 9:30. If you have an idea where you want to go for the parlay today.
Yeah, I do. I'm going to go to Colorado, which was interesting yesterday. Is if you saw the weather there, I brought out the snow plows, and like 2 hours before the game was to be played, and they got the game in. But Colorado is at home today. Quintana, the lefty, going against Scott, the righty. The Mets are about a 148, 150 favorite here. Total on that game is 11. Interesting, and I like Scott. Overall, I think he's going to be in the line, be in their rotation the rest of the year. Chris Yasat, but looking at his lefty-righty breakdowns against right-handed batters, his strikeout to walk ratio is 25. He's got his strikeout minus walk ratio is 25.0, which is awesome. Now take a look at him against lefties, 0.0. He's walking 23% of his left-handed batters that he's facing, and also striking out 23%. Colorado has a lot of lefties in this lineup. And if I know it's a small sample size, but if he's struggling versus lefties, and now he's pitching in Colorado, a place that obviously he's not used to pitching in with all that altitude, I think Colorado's a live dog here. Quintana, say what you want about him. He keeps them in games. He knows how to pitch. He's a veteran starter. The Mets are playing better ball than they had in the past. It's kind of hard not to. But if I'm looking to play like a home run, if one of those guys that looks for that, just take a look at the lineups here for Colorado. One quick look. Sorry about that. I didn't have it on the correct page. But look at Mickey Moniak. On the season, he's ranked 27th in hitting. And the last week, he's at 17th in hitting. He's red hot. He is a guy that could have a lot of success in this game. Now, if Christian does throw some walks, maybe he'll they'll walk him a couple times. But if he can see some pitches and he doesn't walk, he's got a very good chance of hitting a home run in this game. You're probably not going to get great numbers. I think I throw like a 355 or something out there, but it's still Colorado. It's still a guy who can dominate this pitcher, and he bats second in the lineup. So I like that. So I'm going to use Colorado here. And if you're a guy who likes to pick the home runs, I'll take Moniak to hit a home run today. But we're looking at Colorado. You're getting roughly anywhere from 120 to 135. Let's go about 130. I see a lot of 130s out there with Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is one that Rockies plus 1.5 is one that at minus 120 I think is also a route you could go. It's one that was kind of on my radar for today. Like I did talk out of both sides of my mouth here a little bit, because I said before this road trip, I said this might be where the Mets start to stack wins a little bit, and I would say almost like regardless of what happens in this game, like they've done what they needed to do on this road trip so far to an extent. I mean, granted, if they lose this one and then get swept over the weekend, that won't be the case. But so far the Mets 4-1 to start the road trip. So I think that's as good as you could add for where the Mets were coming into this road trip. The fact that they're 4-1 to this point is very impressive. Now, well, it's not impressive. It's good for them. That's like kind of the point I was trying to make at the beginning of this run. The Mets might win some of these games. It doesn't mean they figured everything out. It's just, the Rockies are maybe even with their improvements, are going to still flirt with 95, 100 losses this year. You and I both think the Angels are a bad baseball team at this point. And all these wins up until yesterday, 4-3, then they lost one 3-4, 5-1, 4-2. Like it's almost kind of the way I feel about the Phillies right now, where they're starting to win games, but I'm not necessarily like impressed that I don't think they've just like become a different team overnight. And so with that being said, I did look at this series and say, you know what, the Rockies will probably get one of these. If I, just going before the series started, I thought the Rockies would get one. I think it's reasonable to think they'll at least play one within a run. So I'm with you, Bryan. Rockies plus 1.5 is going to get some thought from me today. And, I think it's like minus 120, minus 125 right now. If that got knocked down another 10 cents, I might be on that with you. But yeah, no, I think you're looking in the right direction there.
Yeah, they're very similar to the Phillies for me as well. I will point out they're leaving here and they're going to Arizona. So I've talked about this in the past when teams leave the altitude of Colorado. Now, Arizona is a pretty good hitting environment anyway, but it's not anything near Colorado. And we saw the Dodgers do that the other day, and I think they got shut out in the first game after that. So it will be a situation where I think McLean's going to go tomorrow. So maybe if you see the overnight, maybe take a look at the under in that. It's a little bit getting ahead of myself, but it's something you have to do is try to anticipate these things on the overnights. I don't put out really too many overnights because the lines aren't available. But if you're out there looking, maybe play that Mets Arizona under, and I think you'll get at least the best of the number. And that's what we're looking for in that situation. So, yeah, I feel the same way about the Mets as Philadelphia right now. They're not going to take any game for granted. They're not satisfied with just winning a few games against Colorado. They're going to come out and play. I just think the value in this game would be on the underdog at home.
People in the chat say, why do you not talk about the early games? I mean, we've covered 4 games so far, 2 early, 2 late. So, there are more early games and late games today, and the people want your opinion on the Guardians. So that's one that keeps popping up in the chat here. I actually have opinion on this one as well. I just was kind of surprised at where the number was. So talk to me about your Guardians still on the road against the Royals this afternoon.
Yeah, their best hitter. I know batting average means nothing, but it tells you it's an indicator. Rodriguez is down to like 209 on the season. Ramirez, excuse me. Your best hitter by far on the team is hitting 209. He's not getting RBIs. He's popping up. I've seen this many times out of Jose Ramirez. When you got a team now, luckily their rookie has been doing very well. But you got a team that lacks hitting like that. That is a concern when your best player is not hitting well. The wind is blowing out pretty heavily in Kansas City today. The line is 9. I would have liked to play the over here, but I think it's already built into the number. We're getting 9 minus 120 in many places. Ciccone is my least favorite pitcher for Cleveland. Lugo, I really like Lugo, and he's not a guy who gives up a lot of home runs. I prefer Kansas City in this game, but the line is in the like a minus 140. That's too much for teams that I have pretty equal on the season. There's no way I could lay the 140. I think Kansas City will score some runs off of Ciccone, but being a getaway day, it is a divisional game, so that makes a little bit of a difference as opposed to like San Diego playing at playing in Colorado, something to that effect. But I looked at that and I saw the wind's blowing out in Kansas City, but it is a getaway game, and I don't want any part of that. Maybe a Kansas City team total over, something to that effect. Let me get a quick look at that and see what it is. We're getting at 4.5. They got to score 5 runs for you to win. You're laying about 120. Don't know if that's enough to get me involved, but that's the way I'm looking at it. Cleveland right now is not a team I'm looking to bet. I looked to fade them at the beginning of the season. They got off to that great start, started to question myself, and now they're starting to play like I thought they would. So yeah, it's they're not doing well right now. I don't want any part of Cleveland, but line's too high to play Kansas City.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with the chat. I lean toward Kansas City here. This is another one. If we're just picking a winner and we don't have to worry about a price, Kansas City's the way I would go. Could not believe it was as high. I kind of opened the odds screen this morning, or just like when I was starting to look through the games and make my decisions, thinking, oh, I might play Royals -120 here. It's -140, way too high to play. So the books certainly have that priced in. I can get down with the team total over. I think it's a really good way to go. Listen, Slate Ciccone is another one. He might be in the same group as Woods Richardson. At least he's trending that way. I think they got him from the Diamondbacks for a bag of peanuts. They completely gave up on the D-backs, gave up on him, right? They tried to send him back to Reno, work on his changeup. They finally just said, nah, this isn't it. The Guardians, if you remember, I mean, you of course remember, Bryan. They went through a stretch where they were picking up anyone and everyone that could throw a baseball and putting them down at Columbus because they had zero starting pitching depth. So he kind of came in, and to his credit, to Ciccone's credit, he has battled his way to be on this team and stay in the big leagues much more than I ever thought he would. I don't know. I feel like the league's starting to catch up. 2 of his last 3 starts, 10 hits. He's another one. I think he's probably more of an organizational depth guy that belongs in AAA starting every 5th day. And, the Royals, I came on and bashed the Royals early in the year. I was like, this team is going to really struggle out of the gate. I felt like they were all due. All these guys played at the World Baseball Classic, came into the season very lethargic, not looking fully ready to play, probably on a little bit of a lull after playing such big games at the WBC. They're starting to bounce back. They're starting to hit a little bit. I think you're spot on with the Royals team total over here. Makes a ton of sense.
All right. Well, I have to hit it. Doctor's appointment today, but best of luck to everybody. I'm passing today, so no need to look at what I have going on. Get Adams 4%. He's been on the right side on a lot of these games. He just hasn't had very good luck in them. So best of luck to everyone, and I'll be back tomorrow, I guess.
I appreciate you saying that, because I have of ones that have been really sort of gut-wrenching losses. And I was joking with you the other day that tends to turn, and you can drop off whenever. I'll do the promo. I'm going to do one more game for the chat before we sign off. But getting that win last night with the Pirates, Skeens, 8 innings. It's a 1-0 game. Of course, top of the 9th, they're batting. Handshakes to Skeens, big smile. I'm like, oh no, they're not letting him go back out for the 9th inning. He's only at 97 pitches. I figured when he got that out in the 8th that they were going to give him the 9th, and they said, no, we're going to go to Gregory Soto. And I'm just like, this is going to be a 1-1 game in a minute. And so to get that win in that fashion, Soto comes in and locks it down and wins, scoring 1 run in the 1st inning. Kind of feel like that's where things, maybe turn for me a little bit.
Maybe that changes everything. We talked about that yesterday. Skeens every time you bet Skeens, they're not going to score runs. He scored. They score 1 run for him. He gets the victory. That's the way he's got to do it, I guess. It would be tough, but there's been many pitchers in baseball. We've seen DeGrom in the Mets uniform that had the same problem. But anyway, good luck, everybody. Passing on everything today. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow. Good luck.
So the final game that I'm going to talk about here before we sign off, I already know what Bryan would say on this game. So he's gonna. I can just about assure you that he will like the A's again in this game. We've talked about the series a couple times this week. I believe yesterday actually was the A's was his parlay leg, and they fell short 6-3. And this is going to kind of go back to the point we've been making here about this series and these 2 teams the whole time, where it's, the Phillies, credit to the Phillies. They're playing good baseball. They're winning the games they're supposed to win. Ever since they changed managers, I believe they're now 7-1. I want to just confirm that, but 4 straight. I think they're actually 8. They're actually 8-1. So since the managerial change, 8-1, the Phillies are. But the reason I guess I'm bringing this up is the one game that they lost to the Marlins actually was a 4% play for me. Max Meyer pitched a good game. They lost 4-0. The Phillies have been a relatively decent favorite in most of those games, other than the series with the Marlins where they were a slight favorite. in most of those games. So it's similar to how I'm looking at the Mets, where it's like, yeah, they're playing good ball. Maybe the shakeup mattered a little bit. It probably did. Sometimes these guys just need you just need a different voice, maybe a wake up call, right? Your manager gets fired. Okay, like you got veterans on this club for the Phillies. Maybe some guys like Schwarber, Harper taking some ownership, whatever it may be. But I still look at this team, and I don't think they got like significantly better overnight. I still think they're heavily reliant on the veterans on this team. Schwarber, Harper, Turner, Realmuto. Once you get outside those four, it's not a really great baseball team. A lot of guys that I wouldn't have on like in a lineup that I think would like contend in the NL East. You got guys that are really underperforming what they've done in their career. Someone like Alec Boehm, who's just been awful. Guys like that. So I still look at the Phillies as a team that's I think a little overvalued on a daily basis. When the lines come in, you pull up your odds screen, and every day, like in this series, they're $1.70, $1.80 favorite. So in this particular game, I like the A's here. I know they haven't won yet this series, but the A's are the type of team where when it turns for them, it tends to it can turn on a dime. They swing. A lot of good bat to ball in this lineup. So it's guys that it can be a little bit contagious. The hits start to find green grass, and all of a sudden they've put up a crooked number. I was actually a little bit, so this is actually taking money since the show has started here. The Phillies are only minus 130 now. They were a much bigger favorite an hour ago. I definitely think that money on the A's is sharp. And so again, you could still get A's plus 120. I think they have the better starting pitcher in JT Ginn. He's someone that he hasn't quite put it together at the big league level yet, but during his time in the minors at AAA, there was a point in time last year where he was the best pitcher in all of AAA, at least per my rankings. And, he's a former second round pick. I think he's going to be a pretty good pro. Last time out, 5 runs in 4 1/3 against the Guardians. He's had a couple shaky outings, but then he's had other games where, he's gone 5 1/3 against the Rangers, 5 1/3 against the Mariners, and it was a borderline quality start. So I do like what I've seen out of Ginn. I think he's going to be fine. Andrew Painter, on the other hand, I'm not totally convinced on him just yet. He's a guy that he had to battle like catastrophic injury during his time in the minors. This is a first round pick from the 2021 season, so very, very high draft pick for the Phillies. And it was his time finally to come up. It was overdue, but watching him at the big league level, he was never so dominant at AAA that I thought he was going to be a can't miss guy at the big league level. He's someone that I think is solid, former first rounder. I understand why they want him to sort of be the guy that they expected him to be. But so far in the big leagues, he hasn't looked like a guy that's going to start games very long. If he continues to throw the ball like this, mid-5 ERA, whip is 1.6, has looked very, very hittable. I felt like the Marlins let him off the hook a couple times over the weekend. Got him for 3 runs, but 7 hits, and they left some guys on base. The start before that gave up 9 hits against the Braves. So in this game, with these two starting pitchers, the fact that the A's haven't really used their bullpen arms yet all series, I think the A's probably win here. And you're talking about plus 120. I know people want the underdogs on this show. So there's a dog for you. That's an underdog. I like Bryan, like the Rockies. He's going to use that for the parlay. I can get down with that. At the beginning of the show, if you missed the beginning of the show, because we started a little bit early today, we talked Padres, Cardinals. We both kind of agree the Cardinals are another live dog there. If you just want the underdogs, I think you got to look at the A's as an underdog option. That is going to be a team that I think maybe salvages one in the series and wins today. David Edgington says, do you have a Cody Ponce update? I don't think he's going to pitch the rest of the year. That injury for him was rough. I think that is a knee injury, and it is likely season ending. Now, they haven't said that. And I think if you ask the Blue Jays, it's going to be one of those things where it's timetable unknown type deal. But I would be really, really surprised if listen, maybe in September, is he doing some rehab? Are we seeing him in Buffalo or like, working his way back like that? Yes. I just don't know that he's going to recover from that injury in time to pitch in the majors this year. And it also is going to depend on where the Blue Jays are. Are they out of it? Like, how it's all relative to, like, I think where the Jays are and how quickly he can like come back from that injury. But no, I don't have a good I don't have a good feeling about that for Ponce. I kind of think it's going to cost him this whole year, and he's going to end up. We'll see him probably next year. So we have hit the end of the show. Again, if you missed the beginning of the show, we did 6 games today. We just came on a little bit earlier than usual. I want to pull this up though. So Rolo says fun fact about the Nats. They have the worst WRC plus in the last 2 weeks against right-handed pitching in Major League Baseball. Yeah, that is true. And the Nationals up until yesterday had started to slump a little bit. They were very hot out of the gate. They started to slump a little bit. Small sample sizes can be skewed any way you want. What I'm saying with the Nats is I think they're built. Their team is built to handle right-handed pitching better than it is left-handed pitching. Guys like James Wood are going to, James Wood's going to rake right-handed pitching. May not have as good of numbers against lefties, stuff like that. So I'm just saying they profile better against a righty. And today you're getting a poor right-handed pitcher, in my opinion, in Simeon Woods Richardson. So our 2-team parlay for today, my best bet for the show is Nationals -115. Bryan Leonard's going to give you an underdog. He's going to go Rockies +130. I do have a 4% play up on my page. It will be on my page in a minute at WagerTalk. It's locked in for clients. So if you are on All Access, or if you take advantage of one of the specials that we have, Bryan and I have the double play. Actually, it's myself and Bryan, myself and Tokyo Brandon, Bryan and Tokyo Brandon. You can get the double play package. That's all baseball for 3 days. I do have a 4% play in one of the games that we have not talked about yet today. I may add others. So make sure you're on that. And also, the best value we have right now on the site, in my opinion, is that 30-day. You get $100 off. You get the extra days added. That's a great way to get plays for cheaper. And of course, the annual All Access that is up gets it down to about a little bit under $100 a month. So all good deals up at the site. Again, for today, the show best bets show parlays are Nationals -115, Rockies +130. If you want my personal opinion, I really like the Rockies on the run line, taking that +1.5. If you can get it at -120 or better, it's just another way to play that game this afternoon. And Bryan and I will be back tomorrow morning. I think Tokyo Brandon's back at some point this weekend. I don't know exactly what day, but we will see him back here soon. So have a good day, everyone. Good luck. The two of us will be back 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. And don't forget Saturday, we have a Saturday show, 10 a.m. right here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Best of luck today. We'll see you guys in the morning.